Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing to you Samba de Amigo Party Central for the Nintendo Switch. This is the third entry in a rhythm game franchise that involves shaking either the maracas or the Wii remote, depending on whether you're playing it on the Dreamcast or arcade, or on the Wii, to both the direction and the rhythm of the colored spheres in the song. So it's essentially Dance Dance Revolution, but with your hands. Whereas the original games focused more on Latin American culture, which, makes sense with the name like that and the maracas, this game is more about popular culture in general, so it has much more of a summer excitement kind of vibe to it. The graphics and the overall style make it seem more like a concert that young people would go to than a typical Latin American festival. You play in two primary modes, either with buttons only or shaking the Joy-Cons like you would in the previous entries. I really hated the motion controls when I tested it out for this video, as I got a D rank on the easiest difficulty, and I just found that most of the time the controllers read well enough, but the Joy-Cons aren't particularly suited for precise shakes in certain directions because the Switch doesn't have a sensor bar to orient the motion controls. So there wasn't really any screen to calibrate the Joy-Cons like the original version of Skyward Sword did with the Wii remote, which made it, in my opinion, have the better motion controls of the two. So after that one disastrous experiment, I just said, to heck with this. The rest of this footage in this video is going to be with the control stick and buttons. It's not too much better of an option, as you either have to press the A, X, and B buttons for the right side of the screen, and up, left, and down on the control pad, or just use the left and right sticks. It's as confusing as it sounds. I just stuck to just using the sticks because trying to switch between the control pad and the buttons on the Switch Joy-Cons, as horrible as they are, no, it's just too much of a hurdle for you. You won't only have to shake or move the controllers in the direction of the spheres. Sometimes there will be these generic people that pop up and will have you do a pose, and usually the timing is pretty generous. Sometimes you'll see an arrow move by and you'll have to move the control stick in the right direction. And once per song, a roulette option will appear that will make a specific trigger that changes the song in a variety of ways, from maybe enlarging the spheres to shrinking them to making you play mini games such as high-fiving people or swinging a bat at a ball. I don't know why I did so terrible at this. I was on a softball team as a kid, but I guess video games just have a completely different muscle memory than they do in real life. And I found that once I learned how to turn that roulette off, I never looked back because I just wanted to play the song properly. Thankfully, from what I could tell, if you do turn it on, it doesn't penalize you too hard for missing the prompts. It just gives you extra bonus points to level up your fever meter more. Now, I didn't find this out until very late into my gameplay, but the fever meter is essentially your life bar. When it gets high enough, then the screen turns purple and starts having a bunch of crazy fireworks effects. The game even has to have a seizure warning message for players that might get uncomfortable. And then everything gets much more high octane and crazy, whereas the regular background will show if you're just doing okay, and the screen will start flashing red if you're doing terribly. It's not terribly different from the premise of the original games, but where this version steps it up is in terms of making it feel more of a modern type of game. Again, most of the songs are the kinds of stuff you'd hear at teenage dance parties, like the Macarena and La Bamba. But then there's also more quality of life improvements to reflect that this is a more modern game on HD consoles. For instance, the visuals look stunning, especially the songs that have Sonic in them. There are achievements, even on the Switch. There are online leaderboards and the ability to go online with others. There's even a global domination mode where you can strive to be number one. And there's multiplayer. I'm pretty sure that was in the original versions. I couldn't test it because I can't think of anyone who would want to play a game with a dancing monkey with me. All of the songs are unlocked from the beginning, although there are DLC packs that give you additional songs based on Sonic, a few additional Sega properties, as well as some additional icons and costume bits. As you proceed through the songs, you gain points, and as you level up, you'll get various rewards that can be exchanged for aesthetic changes, such as a new profile picture, new maracas, new colors, and new outfits that Amigo, the main monkey, can dress up in. Unfortunately, the stuff that's related to the other games is locked behind the premium pack, so if you wanted to, say, dress up as Sonic the Hedgehog characters, you'll have to pay extra money. Thankfully, there are 2 individual DLC packs that catered to my Sonic fanboyism, as there was the Sonic Music Pack that contained 3 additional Sonic songs. There was a Japanese music pack that contained songs with Japanese vocals, and then the premium pack just included both of those, plus a whole bunch of additional cosmetic stuff. So I think the DLC was pretty fair. It only cost $12 at the most. The Sonic DLC cost $4. I had enough gold points and money from a gift card left to get it for free, so that was nice. And you still get Sonic songs even in the base game, so don't think that people who aren't paying premium aren't still going to get the blue blur dancing along a little bit too fast for my liking. I think the graphics and the excitement are really nice, but where I think the game really falters is in its soundtrack. It's kind of a bit too modern for my tastes. The Sonic songs were okay, but all of them were lyrical songs that often involved heavy rock. I don't know, I kind of wish that they would have gone for some instrumental songs, as literally every single song in this game has vocals in it. And while that's not inherently a bad thing, it also just made it so that there was a lot of sensory overload for me. Now, that could have been partially my fault for turning the music all the way up, but I feel like I'm just generally the type of person that doesn't like popular music because it caters to these people who love loud concerts and really engaging the senses, whereas I'm more introspective in that regard. I really liked the clothing system, being able to customize Amigo to my likings, but what I didn't like was the new mode that they introduced, Streamigo, which I think is supposed to be a play on words of Amigo. Basically, you start up a social media platform and you have to gather as many followers as possible by performing missions. Most of these missions are essentially what you did in Theatrhythm Final Barline, where they would involve getting good at a song, and I was like, oh no, not even gonna try this. I tried like one mission, and I really didn't like it because it was basically just playing through the existing song list, but you would have comments on the side as though you were a streamer. But considering that you have to focus on making sure the button prompts are pressed in time, your peripheral vision can't really see the comments. I think the developers realized this because most of them are super generic stuff like this is cool and super. So it's not like they're sending out thoughtful comments, not like actual people in a stream would give thoughtful comments anyway, but the point stands is that it feels like an afterthought, and I think it was the developers trying to make this game appeal to modern audiences while moving away from the Latin American roots of the original games. And I think that's a pro and a con. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, Latin American music has a bit more of a focus on guitars and maracas, whereas this heavy rockish stuff, I don't know, it feels like it's out of sync with the animations, as the characters are often dancing so fast and in such a way that doesn't really fit what's actually going on the screen. Now, whether this was in the original game or not, I don't know, but one quality of life touch I really liked was that the spheres were different colors if you needed to press the buttons simultaneously or separately, such as yellow if you need to press them at the same time, or blue if they're on their own. If you had to press the button multiple times, they would be purple, which I never understood because it would always say that I got perfect, but it really wasn't. I felt like the scoring system got a lot more unfair as I went along, as I would consistently get perfects throughout the song, and still they'd only say I get an 83%. Samba de Amigo Party Central is alright, but it doesn't feel spectacular, and it doesn't feel nearly as good as Theatrhythm Final Barline. I would recommend this as more of a rental than a flat-out buy, unless you really like shaking the controller or pressing the buttons in the right direction, and if you're not too crazy about a story mode or any crazy RPG mechanics. I think I still prefer Theatrhythm Final Barline over this, because that actually felt like it was going along to the actual rhythm of the song, whereas this feels kind of disconnected a bit. And also, I just think Fiat Rhythm Final Barline has better songs. Most of the songs were orchestral, whereas most of these were too much of what I would call Gen Z music. So I definitely think that you should really look into the song selection and see if it fits your tastes, and if not, just skip it. With that, thank you very much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if I missed anything and if you need anything clarified. Special thanks to my patrons Matthew Rakowski, Sploon Ghost, and Splatcat for their financial contributions. And until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!